Imagine waking up in a world where breakfast isn't a quick bite of cereal, but a thick, steaming bowl of pottage. Barley, peas, onions, and perhaps, if fortune favors you, a scrap of salted pork. This is the medieval world, where food is not just sustenance, but a measure of class, power, and survival. But what exactly did people eat in the Middle Ages? Let's step into the feast halls of lords and the smoky cottages of peasants to uncover the truth. For the vast majority, peasants, farmers, and laborers, daily meals were simple, dictated by necessity and the seasons. Bread was the foundation of their diet, made from rye or barley, coarse and dark. Wheat, that was a luxury, reserved for the wealthy. A peasant's daily meal often consisted of a thick, nourishing pottage, a stew of grains, vegetables, and whatever else could be scavenged. Meat? Rare. Unless it was a festival or a successful hunting day, most meals were vegetarian. The church also enforced fasting days, no meat, dairy, or eggs, so fish became a staple, salted or dried for preservation. Dairy products like cheese and butter were common in peasant homes, but fresh milk was often turned into cheese quickly since refrigeration didn't exist. Honey was the main sweetener, as sugar was an expensive import. But for the nobility, a different world entirely. Meat, venison, boar, even swan, was a centerpiece of grand feasts. Spices like saffron, cinnamon, and cloves were a sign of immense wealth, imported from the distant lands of the East. The medieval elite dined on delicate pastries, spiced wine, and exotic fruits, showing off their status with every bite. The timing of meals was also significant. In medieval society, people typically ate two main meals. Breakfast, a light meal in the morning, often just bread and ale for peasants, while nobles might have some cheese or cold meats. Dinner, the largest meal, eaten in the late morning or early afternoon, featuring stews, bread, and whatever was available. Supper, a lighter evening meal, sometimes just leftovers from dinner. Traditions also played a major role in medieval dining. Peasants often ate with wooden spoons and drank from simple cups, while nobles used elaborate trenchers, thick slabs of bread, as plates, which absorbed the juices of the meal and were later eaten or given to the poor. Medieval feasts were grand affairs, often lasting for hours with entertainment such as musicians, jesters, and even live animals as part of the spectacle. At these feasts, the high table was reserved for the most important guests, with lower status diners seated further away. Want to taste the Middle Ages for yourself? At the end of this video, I'll share a real medieval recipe you can try at home. Picture a cold evening, the wind howling outside and the only warmth coming from a firelit hearth. A peasant woman, her hands rough from years of work, tends to the pot. Inside, barley swells in the rich broth, carrots and parsnips soften, and the scent of sage and thyme fills the air. This is pottage, the heart of medieval cooking, simple yet life-sustaining. Pottage recipe, 14th century style. 1 cup barley, 2 cups chopped root vegetables, carrots, parsnips, onions, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon dried herbs, sage, thyme, parsley, 5 cups vegetable or meat broth. She picks up a wooden spoon and slowly stirs the pot, ensuring the barley doesn't stick to the bottom. "Patience," she murmurs, as her child watches eagerly from the table. As the mixture thickens, she adds a pinch of salt and dried herbs, precious, carefully rationed from the summer's harvest. The aroma deepens, a scent that signals the end of a long day. After an hour or two, the stew is ready. She ladles it into rough clay bowls, tearing off chunks of coarse bread for dipping. The family gathers, sharing warmth, laughter, and the simple pleasure of a hot meal. From the simple pottage of peasants to the extravagant banquets of lords, medieval food tells a story, a tale of survival, power, and tradition. So, next time you sit down for a meal, think of the past and how far we've come.